The past couple of years over at DC Comics have been incredibly special due to the publisher's commitment to moving things forward inch by inch ever so slightly. We keep seeing brand new kind of like status quos or new heroes, spinning out of existing characters like Batman and Superman. And today, DC Comics is looking to make good on one of their big promises by putting Nightwing in a more central role over in the DC universe as a newer generation character. Today, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Nightwing 100 to see how DC is moving and putting, Dick Grayson or Nightwing up to center stage. But before we get deeper into the video, I want to go ahead and encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy our content, and make sure to go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoy our video as well. To introduce Nightwing 100, I want to go ahead and read off DC Comics solicitation text for the issue. Come join us with big smiles and even bigger celebrations as Nightwing hits its milestone issue number 100. Cheer how far we've come by looking through the decades at what has made Nightwing a beloved hero. What better way to celebrate than with familiar friends and artists? Then, with Heartless creating a lair in the heart of Blüdhaven to take Blockbuster's throne, Nightwing will follow suit, setting up a headquarters of his own, with the help of some friends who helped make him who he is now, of course. And let's go ahead and read off the full creative team over for Nightwing 100. This issue is written by regular Nightwing writer Tom Taylor, with art also from Bruno Redondo, returning from previous issues of the Nightwing series. But we also get a wider creative team introducing even more, Nightwing artists to the issue. So in addition to Taylor and Redondo, we also have artists Scott Mcdaniels, Rick Leonardi, Eddy Barrows, Javier Fernandez, and Mikel Janin. We have inks from Karl Story, Eber Ferreira, Caio Filipe, Joe Prado, and Rick Leonardi. Colors from Adriano Lucas, letters from Wes Abbott, and there is a cover and an acetate variant cover that looks absolutely gorgeous. I saw a sneak peek of it on Twitter for the issue, which is also over from Bruno Redondo. And I always like talking about comic book reviews by starting with some of the art for the issue. And instead of actually looking at the kind of preview for the series, I want to start by showing off some individual art by each of the creators of this issue to kind of get you introduced to all of the creators and artists who are in this story. So let's go ahead and kick things off here by showing off some art for the issue by series regular artist. This is Bruno Redondo. So really gorgeous kind of a cover over from Bruno Redondo. And next up, I want to show off some art from Scott Mcdaniels, who also contributes to the issue. He has some really kind of fun sequences in this Nightwing story and delivers really like stylized art that I really, really enjoy, that captures such kind of like a serious and noir aspect to this character. He's got some great art over in this issue. And next up, I want to show off some art from Nightwing artist Rick Leonardi. I also think this is, some really gorgeous kind of stylized art with interesting perspectives. And I think all of kind of these natural elements also tie into the issue as well. So great to have Rick Leonardi contributing to this special. And some of my favorite pages in Nightwing 100, I think, actually come from artist Eddy Barrows. Here's a look at his Nightwing run over with writer Kyle Higgins. I love kind of all the lines in Eddy Barrows' art and just how dark it looks. I know Eddy Barrows was drawing this kind of during that new 52 period of time, but man, do I really like this style of art for Nightwing, even though I tend to like lighter stories, and would love to see this, more Eddy Barrows art fleshed out over in the Titans book, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the review, or in just future issues of the series. Here's a look at artist Javier Fernandez, who contributed to the Nightwing book over during the Rebirth era. Fernandez has some great pages in Nightwing 100, and again, it's great to kind of see more representation of this character with recent representation, not only titles that are going, back decades and decades into the past, because, man, Javier Fernandez was a really, really good Nightwing artist. Mikel Janin delivered some great work over with, our writers Tim Seeley and Tom King over on the Grayson story. It's good to have him back for a couple pages that capture kind of like the nimble and acrobatic way that he depicts the character. Great to have him in this special as well. And here's the actual cover over from Nightwing 100. This is again from artist Bruno Redondo and features so many incredible characters throughout the issue. It's just such a gorgeous cover that I think is very important to the Dawn of DC initiative, as the issue kind of opens, with Nightwing and Batman, discussing essentially what comes next for Dick Grayson, and also kind of discussing how he's receiving a sort of promotion. This is the emotional core of the issue, just showing the further evolution of Dick Grayson as a character. And let's take a look at some of the preview pages of the series. Here's a look at that kind of emotional conversation between Nightwing and Batman. And I really love kind of like the non-linear writing in this issue, and how writer Tom Taylor gets back to, this premise. Also, I found that the continuation of this conversation was probably the strongest, like, overall emotional gut punch of the issue. Just watching sort of, Bruce and Dick kind of both, agree and disagree on what happened in the past. And it had that sort of like, rebirth moment with Barry Allen and Wally West, even though the stakes are a lot lower, actually did manage to emotionally connect with me in a really tangible way here. I even started getting emotional towards the end, because I just imagine how there could have been all these moments where Bruce was a little colder towards, Dick than he meant to be. And just having him own up to it and take responsibility is just such an incredibly powerful moment of the issue that's going to stick with me over time. Another kind of aspect of this series that I've really enjoyed are some of the like dense political themes, because Blüdhaven is sort of like a really, violent environment, with this Heartless character kind of staging a, a prison crime in the issue, and just watching like how he kind of like reacts to the violent nature of Gotham, and even, manages to make it even more violent himself, is, really interesting. But what's more interesting is watching Dick kind of respond to the Heartless character, but also try and find a way to treat the people who have done harm in Blüdhaven a little bit more equitable, rather than just, sending them to the most vicious prison you could possibly imagine in the series. So I really like some of the bombastic themes Tom Taylor is tackling and applying over to Dick Grayson in the series. Now, if you were wondering kind of how, some of the Titans characters tie into this issue, I honestly felt that maybe that element of the series was a little forced, and there wasn't the context that we need for like these characters to be here at like this exact moment in time. Also, if I could say maybe one more kind of negative thing about the script in the issue, the elements of Heartless are not as interesting as some of the other, scenes in the story, that are being introduced here. So having this Heartless portion stretch on for such a large portion of the issue, I does think deflate the tension a little bit. And I wish that there could have been something a little bit more tied into the Titans or Heartless. I just wonder at this point if Tom Taylor is being kind of shackled down a little bit by DC's editorial, because the Nightwing series was going in such kind of like a solid direction with this Heartless character, and now with kind of the brand new status quo that DC is introducing, to the Titans, was that originally in Tom Taylor's plan in the first place? However, there is sort of a nice conclusion at the end of the issue that attempts to tie together everything that Tom Taylor has done in the run so far, kind of the Titans, concept together, which I think does actually kind of, a fairly good job of putting these characters in a slightly different place than we've seen them in previous issues, as far as Nightwing in the Titans go. So I am curious to see kind of how that continues to develop and if this new kind of status quo for Nightwing and the Titans is going to make the issue or series feel, that much different at the end of the day. I sure do hope it does. So, in conclusion, here, I really enjoyed Nightwing 100. I think that this is really another opportunity for DC Comics to make good on their promise of, moving the DC universe forward and introducing more of the secondary characters over in some of the main titles. I can't stress enough how many times we've seen adaptations of Batman with Bruce Wayne or Superman with Clark Kent. And I just don't understand why, DC Comics or people just want to see the same stories with the same characters week after week after week. And I, for one, am so happy with the direction that DC Comics is finally taking in shifting and moving things around in their universe. So I want to know from you, did you like this issue as much as I did? Do you think that this status quo is going to hold for the next couple years? I sure do hope it does, with DC's kind of commitment to it, with their marketing for the Dawn of DC initiative. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video, and we're going to be back really soon with more excellent comic book content. We'll see you soon. Bye.